We are live. So,
where'd my live video go? I lost my live video.
All
right.
Going live on the old gram.
This better not have butchered it as I go back to the private chat here. The same one. I think I butchered it.
Come on now.
It did butcher it. Oh man.
What did you butcher?
It didn't post. So we're having some technical difficulties.
Oh
God.
Well, no. Let me just. Is that a new live thing?
Yeah, I had to put
let me go back there. Let me edit this. Let me edit yours.
Multi-gen app too.
I got going.
Hey, you're better than me.
Okay, let me remove you for a sec here. I'm gonna add you again. Okay, is that the correct key code?
That's the new one, yeah.
Okay, sending your way. This is the beauty of going live. You just stuff happens. You gotta adapt. Stuff happens and you gotta adapt.
Bang. I'm live.
You're live now?
On the Instagram. We're good.
Amazing.
We're good. Kick it off, Richard. Get us going.
Get us going? Well, oh, here it is. Cole is live as well. So yeah, we're here with another Saturday morning. Cole's got his coffee. I got some water because I'm not a coffee person. So, but we are here talking about multi-generational living. It's a bit of a passion of both of ours. We see that being the future, and we want to educate ourselves and educate you on all things multi-generational properties. And so we want this to be a resource where you could come week after week and just learn little tidbits and ask experts really in the field of real estate, more specifically multi-generational living. And we're going to be touching on some zoning stuff today, because that's a big thing that's happening right now. Zoning changes are happening all over the place, and you can probably, well, whether you know it's happening, but then more realistically, you probably see signs up, developments are changing, people are doing land assemblies. Like, there's just so much that goes into zoning, and then can really make or break a property, or can make a property 3-4 times as much money by just changing the zoning bylaws and allowing you to build, whatever. And so we find or feel that it's just an important thing to talk about. So again, we're both local realtors here in the Fraser Valley. We've been doing it for quite a few years, and we just have a passion. And so here we are talking about multi-generational properties. Cole, what do you got to add to that?
Well, what I would say here is we're in episode 2. Man, it was hard for me to speak off the rip. But we in episode 1, we did a little bit of an intro to small scale multi-unit housing and what it is and why it's important. And we're going to touch on it a little bit more today, because it is happening, but in a lot of municipalities, it has already happened. And changes have already been implemented that could really affect a lot of properties or a lot of areas. And I've seen a little bit of that on my social media, and I've heard about that in some of the conversations that I've had over the past week. We also talked about why we believe it's a big, multi-gen living is a big deal, and the different types of multi-gen living. So we'll kind of continue a little bit on that in the thought process of why we think certain properties or areas might work and might do really well with this sort of plan. But I think it's probably good to do just a quick little overview again of the basics of the small scale multi-unit housing and why it's important. And we'll talk on that in just a little bit. But I think, we'll kind of jump into, people kind of ask, well, you guys are talking about zoning. And for people that don't know what we're talking about when we say zoning, it means we're talking about each city's zoning bylaws. And each city has its own zoning bylaws, right? That basically governs what people can do with their properties. And now people should follow these all the time. They should. Some may not.
They kind of have to, but yeah, they just do what they want.
Some do not. And it affects their home prices, or it affects people trying to buy them in the future. But ideally, you follow the zoning bylaws. I would recommend it. And then you are able to kind of figure out what you're able to do with your property. And so we're going to do a quick kind of introductory, like some terms that I look for when I'm going through.
Yeah, you're the smart guy here, man. Just
and
lay it on us.
Kind of super basic, like things that when I was looking into this for the first time, that I was like, okay, what do I need to know? And what we're going to use for that, if Richard is okay with it, is I'll use the Maple Ridge bylaw.
Oh, buddy. Maple Ridge places.
So that's where I'm from. I love me some Maple Ridge. And this is kind of what I used for my video. I did a video on the Maple Ridge bylaw and their small scale stuff, which is a little bit different compared to others. But it's the one that I have probably the most.
Yeah, you gonna share something on the screen there?
I absolutely am.
Because I was gonna share something too. But
we're flying to it, so
just making sure you. Oh, there it is.
Bang! So
on the right page, ready to go.
This is the logo. My wife was like, "What is that?" When I did my video, and I'm like, "That's the Maple Ridge zoning bylaw logo." It's pretty extra.
Remove other media.
Yeah, it's pretty extra. So we're gonna kind of scroll down here, and we're gonna go to part 2, and we're gonna go to
hold on
definitions.
That's not my screen.
We're gonna go.
Oh, I gotta remove screen. Hold up.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Yeah. So this is definitions, and this is some of the stuff. Each city, and the reason I bring up definitions, right, is because some cities will say that we're going to use a coach house for an example here, right? Nice secondary residence that we talked about a little bit in our last episode. Some cities, a coach house is a house that's on top of a garage or on top of something in the principal residence, right? It's on a second story with storage down below. Some cities call a coach house is just a secondary suite, like a detached secondary suite.
Mm-hmm.
But that definition of a coach house, but just another secondary suite that's one story, in other cities is called a garden suite, right? So already we've got this mismatch of what is what. What are we talking about here, right? And that's why before you kind of dive into stuff, quickly, you can do a quick review, or you can have someone do a quick review, right? And then you kind of go to your zoning and you figure out kind of what your zoning says. And then you go back to your definitions and you'll kind of fact check based on what each city classifies different things as, which is important. So in this one here, we're going to kind of go all the way down because I'm going to take a couple of the things that I think are important. So like right here, right, we're going to talk about this. A detached garden suite residential. You'll see like this is important. Accessory residential use is important, right? You'll see that in other sections of the bylaw. A dwelling unit, that's pretty standard in all, basically where someone can live that has a kitchen and a bedroom. So cooking facilities, you see it down here. That is on the same lot or property as a principal residence, so a main house. And then there is a section of the bylaw that you can check in Maple Ridge specifically for detached garden suite residential, right here. Mm-hmm. Avoid the retaining wall, but right here, right? And so if we, in Maple Ridge, they do a really good job of having links to everywhere. So if I go and I link this and I go to the next page and I make sure that I switch the screen, right? And we're going to do a quick little swap. I think it is here. I hope this works. Bang. Right? Perfect. It's going to take us to where a detached garden suite residential will be. You've got different rules and regulations for garden suites compared to other accessory buildings. They got some descriptions. basically shows you what you can do that might be different to other parts of the zoning bylaw or other specific zoning regulations for that zoning bylaw, right? Now, this is a lot of mumbo jumbo.
Dude, you're talking a lot.
A lot of people are probably like, Cole, what in the world are you talking about? Basically, what I'm saying here is your professional planners, your surveyors, your builders, like this is what they need to follow. And I would make an argument. I know that realtors don't know this, and I'm unique in that sense.
Wow, you're just calling people out, eh?
I am, because I think that they should in the new real estate landscape. I would say that this is something that people need to know, especially as we move forward into multi-gen living. You don't need to know it on a level of a planner, like a professional planner. You don't need to know it to the level the city needs to know it, because you're going to verify all of your concept plans with your city. You should.
Yeah, the city will definitely.
Right, the city's going to help you. But what I would say for people who are trying to help people find multi-gen properties is, help them out a little bit, and or find someone that can help them out. So like I'm wanting to start something pretty soon, a little teaser. Like I want to help people go through the zoning bylaw in the city that they want to buy to figure out what they actually can do on a property to make sure that property is a fit for them. And this sort of stuff, garden suites are a big one, right? Because we talked about different types of multi-gen living last episode, and it doesn't have to be this massive fourplex or this massive 4 full-size homes. Like it could just be a house and a garden suite if it doesn't have a basement suite already. And so this sort of stuff might matter. Maybe they'll need something else, but there's really a whole bunch of different ways and a whole bunch of different areas that you can go in that let you kind of get to where you need to go. And so I'll throw it kind of back to you, Richard, in the sense of because I know that you and I have had a little bit of a conversation here, but you do a little bit of, helping people find multi-gen properties already. And what are you kind of seeing with some people right now? Like, what are they looking for?
Well, I think they, sorry, I'm adjusting my desk here a bit. Because you could go through all the zonings, you could go through all the bylaws, but sometimes people just don't have the means to. Like, if you're thinking about developing a property and you think about, okay, you need quite a bit of capital, and some people just don't have it. It's tied up in their property. So, like, what are they going to sell their property and then try and, live in a motel while they build this thing and they go through the development process? And as you know, like, the development process can take forever, just depending on what city you're in, depending on what backlogs they have. And so a lot of people just want to look for straight out of the box property, right? And so for myself, I'm seeing people that want to just buy a property with 2 homes because it's kind of the easiest, right?
Yeah.
You get mom and dad's spot, you get the kids' spot. A lot of times it's a rancher. Like, I'm working with a client right now. They're potentially the plan is to sell both of their properties in Mission and essentially go and I guess I can stop sharing your screen. Go and try and find a property that has 2 homes on it, right? And there's some pretty cool properties out there that I've seen and been able to go look at because I have clients that are wanting these types of homes. And lately, one of them wants to move out of the Lower Mainland. Like, they're just like, we've had enough, and their money will go farther somewhere else. Like I found this one property. Like, let's just go on a little side detour here because I always love it. Let me just share my screen here. Stop share screen? No, hold up. Here it is. So I'm going to type in realtor.ca because that's I'm on that site way too often.
Yeah, the go-to.
And there's a property. I can't remember where it was. I'm just going to type in Kelowna because I know it's not there, but it's out that way. And mind you, this is like in the middle of nowhere. Where the heck was it now? Because yeah, they were looking for properties outside of the Lower Mainland. Where the heck is it now? Is it this one? No. Oh, maybe it's off the market.
Uh-oh.
Someone bought it.
Bang.
Yeah, it was like right here. Hold on, let me just see here. Anyways, it was a beautiful property. It had two houses on it, 10 acres. And that's just, you're not gonna be able to find that elsewhere. There's another property I'll show you. You sent me the link to it. I should just like click the link here instead of just.
This is why we love doing it live.
Let me see here.
It's on the fly.
Nah,
Real process.
let's just see here.
Behind the
Which one
scenes
was
of
it now?
finding good properties for buyers.
Copy link. This one? I don't think it's this one actually.
Take a try. Hold on. I believe.
Internet work.
Oh, and then we got internet.
Oh, yeah.
Internet, like, oh, he found it. Oh, that's a nice blue house.
So let me just load this back up here. So you have a property. It's like almost 3 million bucks, 1.3 acres, 2 homes, right? Like you get the look here. You get this nice lot. You know, and a lot of people are looking because, like, I don't know, the most people as they age, stairs become an issue.
Yeah,
not everybody, but most. And so this is like a what do you call it now? A mobile trailer.
Okay.
That's been like done up. But like this is the main house, right? I'm like, who wouldn't want this thing? It's beautiful. And then what else pictures are gonna show you? Like it's a backyard. I think there's a tree house in one of these pictures. Yeah, like got a tree house for the kids.
That's
sick. You just think about the lifestyle that this type of home provides. Like I think this is the trailer here. Like it's unreal. And I think people are like, they're fed up with the way things are going, especially in the housing market. And they're just like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go find a property that me and my family and family's family can go be a part of and go live on and enjoy life. Right? And I think that is just, that's what people want.
And keep the money in the family.
Right? It's like
a big one.
And so I have this other website, self-plug here. I'll just do it this way. It's gonna be easier. Where it's like we have specific searches for people who are like, I don't want to go through this whole process. Can I just buy a house that has what I'm looking for? Right. And the biggest one is the house with the coach house. Right. People are looking for properties.
Yeah.
Like it's funny. I actually seen this house. This one's a bit run down. I'm gonna call it what it is. But like,
keep it honest. Take your shooting shots.
Yeah, this. I walked in there. It was just hilarious. Just like,
maybe not the best example, but I understand where you're going. You know,
but like it's a house with two properties on it. I think there's another one that or like this one here. I think it's a little bit smaller. Come on now. Right, you got 2 shacks.
Yeah.
1 point, and I think it's a 10-acre parcel. 3 acres, sorry. Right, it's a bit of a land strip here. You got the 2 houses.
Yeah.
And so, and this is like really my passion, is to find people like that oasis, that property where they can just be on for the next couple generations.
Yeah.
Right. And like just enjoy life how it should be, right? And I think together, And again, it doesn't have to be like your family member or your somebody.
Yeah, it could be
I
friends.
don't know. It can be friends, but the hardest part is like having the capital to do this. Right? Let's just be real. Let's just call it what it is. So a lot of times the parents have a property that's paid off or really close to, and they take that $1 million and go buy this, and then they live in this shack, and then their kids or their adult kids live in here, and the adult kid has a $250,000 mortgage, maybe a little bit more, so that the parents have some cash out, right?
Yeah.
And they can grow old in a house on
And
the
have
same
support.
property,
And
have
have
support,
and
which
that's
is the
going to be really
biggest
important, right? As I've talked about, like I don't love the system for the elderly. Now I understand. I don't blame the workers. Right? I just don't love the system, and so being able to support is big. I want to wrap this kind of section up here and move into the next one, but I do want to say that we talked a little bit about zoning stuff and what it means, and a big reason why I brought that up is because if let's say someone isn't you, right, and they go to someone and they find them a property and they say, hey, I'm going to be able to do this, and they have not checked the zoning, right, and there is a chance that they can't do what they want to do, and they buy this property, they are in a world of hurt because zoning absolutely can kibosh plans. And I'll talk about certain things that I look for people who have the capital, who have hit that first step and that want to build on the multi-gen side, right? Because there are two different types, right? There are the people who just want to buy with something already on it, and then there are the people who are thinking to themselves, hey, wait a minute, I want to build something for my kids. Like I want to have the ability to put everybody on the same spot. I got a little bit of a bigger family, but you got to make sure that you're smart about it. There are things that can absolutely break a property. I talked about it a little bit last episode, ALR. ALR is a big one for bigger families that aren't in farming specifically. You cannot do more than 3 units. And that is even pushing it, right? Like you can't do more than like a house, a secondary suite, and a coach house. And for some families, that'll be fine. But for families that, have bigger families and they want to do 4 or 6 units and they have the capital to do it, do not buy ALR. You're not going to get what you want to get out of it, is something that I would say. And you don't want to see a situation where a realtor helps someone and they haven't done their homework and they have put their client in a really bad spot, right? And so like you've got the experience and you know it a little bit. We've kind of talked about it and touched on some certain points, but like that's a big thing for people. And so that's why we bring it up today, because zoning is important, even especially when looking a little bit more so for people who want to do a little bit more, maximize a property a little bit more than just finding something that works. Both are very viable options depending on what the family wants to do. But and there are different types of build techniques that can cheapen build costs as well to help people with this type. And we'll talk on that in a future episode. But moving along here. So we talk about zoning. We've talked about small scale multi-unit housing. How does it fit? How does it fit into local planning? And so there are 2 big points here to talk about. And so there is the provincial level, right? The province has made it mandatory, essentially, for every British Columbia municipality to amend or adopt the legislation into their bylaws somehow to allow for more densification. However, not every city has fully completed that task. Some are still in the process of doing it. And so what I mean by that is Maple Ridge, for example, pretty wide open with what they'll allow as for their small
they kind of seem to be on like the forefront. Like they're the ones kind of leading the charge here.
Maple Ridge is they allow a lot. However, they don't call it small scale multi-unit housing. This is what I said in my zoning video of Maple Ridge. It's called urban infill residential, which, sure, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Good for you, Maple Ridge. You're living your best life. I looked into Mission quickly, and in my understanding as of right now, with the disclosure here for anybody tuning in that if someone had a property in Mission that wanted to work with me or wanted to work with Richard, more work has to go into confirming. But when I looked in Mission, it didn't look like you could do the same things that you could do in Maple Ridge, even though the small scale, legislation is the same at the province level. Maple Ridge and Mission, two cities right beside each other, right? Allow different things. Still 4 units in theory, but they do not allow the same types of things, right? You have to do a certain thing in Mission compared to certain things in Maple Ridge. And then that's different from Maple Ridge to Abbotsford right now. And then that's different from Abbotsford to Langley. And then that's different from Langley to Surrey, right? And so each city, while they have adopted in a certain way, has now done it with different caveats or different key points, or you're only allowed to get to X amount of units by building Y. Where in other cities, it's like, no, if you're within the regulations, go nuts, live your best life, put whatever you want on for your family. And so that's also important too, because it might change a city that you might want to live in, right? If you're looking to build something for your family, you may not be able to build what you want in a certain city, which then may take that city out of the running for you. Like, you may not want to live in that municipality if you can't do what you want to do.
No,
so that's a big thing to talk about, because it's, most cities have to allow a way to get to 4 or 6 units, depending on if they're close to bus stops. They have to. As long as they're within their what is called an urban containment boundary, which is basically something outlined on a map that says this is where people live in this city for the most part, mostly with near or around the town center in some way, or an urban area. Yeah. And you have to allow for more houses, right? And if you got a comment, feel free to just absolutely jump right in here. But
I'm just trying to find the layer here because I'm on the Abbotsford's map. But no, it just comes down to, like, you got to know your stuff, or have someone who knows their stuff. Because, like, what was I saying? It was yesterday. I was talking to a guy about SEO, and I was just like, I don't even know what that means. I think it's like search engine optimization. That's what it means. That's about as far as it goes for me. And, like, you can spend so many hours in time, doing it yourself or trying to learn it yourself. But it's like, at the end of the day, you only got so much time, and it may bore you to death trying to figure out, SEO. But it's like, you can only be an expert in so many things once you realize how long it takes to become an expert. And so that's why it's just so important. Like, talk to people who know this stuff, who are living it, because it's going to save you a ton of time and headache. Like, I don't know, it's a bit of a rant there, but
so I got a comment on a social media video that I did, and they admitted, like, hey, I don't want to move my family close to places that might be filled with multiplexes. Like, I don't want to do that. Is it possible to find that? And my thing would be, yes. You're just looking a little bit more on the outskirts of an area, outskirts of a town, because that zoning might still allow a second house. It just won't be allowed up to 4. Well, that's perfect, right, for some people. And so the thing is that, yes, the province is forcing these municipalities to densify their areas, but there are still areas in each municipality that do not fall within that boundary. And those properties basically remain unchanged compared to the other ones. So there are neighborhoods that are going to remain untouched by these new changes. And so you'll be able to find places that are going to have that same style of single detached, lots of yard space, maybe a house, just one house or a basement suite for a family, like parents or adult kid, and that's it. Those will still exist. They're not going completely away yet. I say yet because you never know what the province is going to do. I don't think a lot of people knew that the province was going to just wham, bam, shabam this legislation down, like when they started in 23 and then pushed it in 24 without lots of consultations from what I've heard, but I digress. And now here we are, right? Talking about the changes and how a lot of properties have already changed. This has already been done, right? The fine print that families need to look at are the things that people need to do. You are not having to go through a manual rezoning process yourself
which can take a long time.
Stuff. And like rezoning, subdivision, those can take a long time. And that's another thing. Like the amount of time that has been shaved off of a lot of properties because they don't have to be rezoned or they don't have to be subdivided is huge for potential builders or for potential people who want to build projects. Like,
no, it's insane.
Huge. Like years taken off of the process of getting started. Now, is it still going to take a while? Yeah, you're not putting something up in 10 days, But is it going to take you 2 years? Probably not. And, you start taking, let's say, a year off of each project. Well, 10 projects, you've got 10 years, right? That's a long, in 10 years, my kid will be in his teens potentially, right? Dude, he's going to be old. I'm going to be in worse shape than I am now. I may have no good knees compared to the one that I'm currently rocking with. So, like,
that's why you need that rancher, that no stairs. I'm
basically in a rancher, Richard. I'm already there. I'm already basing myself for my old age, but
yeah, you got.
It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Right?
That's okay.
But we'll get in there. I got a friend out right now, and he's big in the gym, and I'm pretty sure that we're gonna go for a hike this week. And I don't know if we'll have episode 3. We gotta get this next Saturday. That's my goal, is to just get to next Saturday in one piece.
Dude, exactly.
So that we can keep doing this. But that's kind of what needs to be allowed. It's the difference between the province and the municipal. And then fine print. So stuff that you'll kind of look for, you're going to look for heritage overlays. You're going to look for ALR. You don't want ALR. Floodplains as well. Floodplains are bad because it's going to change how you build, or restrictions into how you build, or extra restrictions on where you can place.
Let me just show you guys something here, because I'm just playing around with the map here. I should really just have it on, because like that's the thing too, right?
Now.
Like
moving to Abbotsford.
Yeah, we're in Abbotsford, bro. So like floodplains, it's like, oh man, am I in a floodplain? Right, that's a common question here, right? And so it's like, okay, as per, so like this is more so like for your own peace of mind and like and insurance, right? I had a question with it from another person, like, oh, what do you think about insurance and floodplain? Like, and so this is just like a great map. And this is a free public tool, right? Anyone can log into Abbotsford, Maps Abbotsford, or whatever, right? Like there's, where do I just go here? Preferences, tools. So like all these, there's maps for every single place that you can just poke around on and see. All right, so floodplains.
Important thing to know. Important thing to know.
It totally is.
So we're cruising right now. The car has been started. It's running smoothly. We had to fix the starter. The ignition needed a little bit of work, but once we got it up and running, we're humming along here. And we'll leave this up. I want to leave some of the maps up. I want to look at some properties here. I want to look at some good versus bad examples of some stuff. And I know that I looked at one in Abbotsford a while ago, and I wonder if if that's the one that we take a quick peek at, Richard.
Yeah, which one is that?
I'm gonna find it super quick right here.
Yeah, put on the screen there.
Absolutely. And I'm just gonna go through. So you've got it up. I think we're looking at 2136 Sherwood Crescent. That's where I want to go here.
Okay.
Because this is one that I've done a little bit of a property review for Multi-Gen Living, and you can kind of see it on this map here, and it's a nice little example of what's going on. And then we'll look at some others. There's another one that I want to look at as well, from the past. So, is that the big one here? Is that we're looking for? I believe so. 2136. We got an RS
3i.
RS5. That's right.
It says RS 3i.
Okay. And then if we go to the imagery,
zoning.
Yeah, if you change the imagery,
we want to change it too.
Yeah, you go to like a satellite view, because right now we're on what's called topographic. So this is something that I use for basics, like figuring out like how big something is, or how I do my regulations and rules for some of the consultations that I do or have done, and this is how I'll measure. But then I look at imagery when I'm thinking about like feasibility. When I do some stuff. I can bring it up on mine as well.
Well, you drive the car here. Let me just. You share your screen.
Let me find it here first. Leave it up for the viewers. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this property. Really quick. One, because we're looking at Abbotsford, and I wanted to go to your neck of the woods for this. But also, when you're looking at all different types of places, you're going to find different things depending on what you want. And I think this is one you know a little bit better than me, Richard. But as I'm just trying to find it here really quick, I know that you've kind of seen this. Talk a little bit about what you know. Not too much. Oh, you found the perfect map there. This house, is there a basement suite? Do we know in this house?
Yeah, so there's a basement suite in this house. It's 2-bedroom, and then upstairs it's got 2 bedrooms and I guess of a den, maybe you'd call it. Yeah. And so the big thing is like you just go to Street View here, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, pow, look at that massive house, right? And then like, boom, look at this massive house. And this one's there now. Obviously, this is an old picture. Got grandma here just looking at her future home here, probably. And so, because that kind of begs the question, it's like, maybe you buy an old house that needs to get torn down. Now, granted, actually, this one across the street here just sold like 850 and needs a whole bunch of work, but they're probably going to demo this house and basically put whatever they want on there, whether it's the 4-plex or a big house like this, just depending on what the end user wants. But for those, we're talking about multi-generational stuff and 4-plexes, so there's bylaws and stuff happening, or it's in place. It's just the city, I would say, is like limiting or throttling how much or how fast this goes, because they want to do it right, so to speak. And so this is where it gets fun, and you can look at properties like this that are for sale, especially if you're in this market, and just see, okay, run the numbers, run the performas, right? Obviously, first step is like, making sure that the end use of the property, excuse me, is able to do what you're wanting to do. First and foremost. So that's why we're talking about zoning today. Yeah. And then second, obviously, like running the performas, okay, they want so much for the property. Okay, you talk to a builder. This is what it's going to cost you to build fourplex. Okay, do we have the funds? Does it make sense? And we're talking to both parties, right? We're talking to people who are investors. We're talking to families who are, want a simpler life for their kids, right? We got grandma here down the street here, just like, maybe this was her house and maybe she demoed it and now she's building, fourplex. Well, it's back in 2023, so probably not a fourplex, but these are the things and visions that people have. And a lot of the times when you talk to people, they don't even know it exists.
This might be me. Oh no.
This is Cole here.
And so I've if you want to throw it to me. Yeah. I'm flying.
I'll throw it back.
I might be doing something. I want you to throw it over here. So what I've kind of thrown on my screen here is this is the same property. But if you take a look at my topographic, why have I done that? Well, it gives you a sense of where this house is placed. Okay, what are you looking for? And this is a little bit more in depth. This is some feasibility stuff. This is some of the stuff that I do for some people, right? So now we know. Okay, so this is your property line, which again, all of this information is public information that you can find that needs to be verified by a surveyor. So a surveyor is going to help you find lot lines on site for your property. They'll do that for you, and that'll help you plan. So again, you always verify with your licensed professionals. But this is publicly available info, and so I talk about it. So if we're talking about a builder, right? I'm not going to show all of that stuff. I'll just talk about it. What are they going to look for? Well, they're going to look for your setbacks, right? How far does the house have to be from your front, from your sides, from your rear? Then they're going to think about, okay, do we have enough space for parking? Right here, you've got the one driveway. Maybe this is a garage. Maybe this will work for this house. But what if you want to do more? Well, you're going to have to figure out more parking. That's going to affect how big these houses can be. Speaking of how big these houses can be, you've got a certain amount of percentage of this that is allowed to be covered by buildings, right? So maybe it's only this much. Maybe it's this much. Maybe it's this much. It's this much. Like, you don't actually know how much can be allowed. And we bring this up. This is a pretty solid property in the sense of, I like the size. This house kind of covers everything. It would be difficult in the sense of getting to 4 units while leaving this house there. For someone that wanted to just maximize the amount of units on a property, it would be tough. Almost be impossible based off of where it currently is. So that changes what's allowed, because now, a family might only be able to purchase the house. A builder or someone who wants to do a project might look at this and be like, hey, I've got the ability. And then, so what are you going to look into for that? Well, you're going to look into Abbotsford, probably going to talk to the planning department about like, hey, I want to do this. What's allowed? You'll look into your zoning. You'll talk to them. You'll look into their official community plan, their OCP, because they're making some changes in Abbotsford that should be in effect beginning of 2026. It's called Abbotsford 2050 on the city website. You can go take a look at their proposed changes. And then more opportunities are going to open up with this property, depending on what type of zoning it gets changed to. And it's going to be automatically changed if everything passes. And that's a big thing. And so I liked this property because a ton of things could change immediately that would open the door for not endless, because the size might play a role in limiting what is possible, but a lot more is going to be available compared to what it is right now. A property that I don't like, right? Just to kind of take it away from this and go back to just us here. Something that I wouldn't like, that most people I think would be a little surprised about for this, is properties. It's funny you bring it up, and I'm talking on a builder level here, not just stuff that's already there that you could purchase. So I'm talking maximizing a property. I actually don't like that Mission property, that long one, that 3-acre long one, because you
shitting on Mission. What's new?
shit. Not wow. I got friends who live in Mission. I got more friends that might move to Mission. It's a nice place. That one in specific, though, one of the reasons I don't love it is all of that land in the back. You can't really do anything with.
No, you're paying for land that has no real use besides just like enjoying
it, right? So from if someone came to me and was like, I want you to find me something that I can maximize and get to like 4 or 6 units, right? Depending on what someone wants.
Mm-hmm.
They want a project property. I wouldn't want something like that because you actually can't do something with all that land. Most likely. And I would have to verify. Understand that I would have to verify, and someone would have to verify with the city, verify with the professionals. But my understanding is you can't do a lot. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to be able to have like 5 acres and build like a whole bunch of stuff for my kids. And it's like, oh, well, let's simmer a little bit, because unless you've got a ton of frontage, and that's another term. And so frontage is how the front of your property that's on a street, for people who don't know. If you don't have a ton of frontage, a lot of your land in the back is not actually going to be usable for what you want to do, because small scale is not going to apply for properties bigger than an acre.
No.
Right? So right away, it sounds counterintuitive. I know it's small scale multi-unit housing, but like you're thinking, oh, I've got all this property I should be able to build. And you're like, well, joke's on you. So you might have to go through a subdivision process for different parcels along the street. And it's going to take longer, but that's how you would do it for those bigger types of properties, as long as you've got the ability to actually subdivide. And they need to be facing the street. You need to have enough frontage in a lot of cities to actually subdivide the property. And if you don't, you're in trouble. Right?
Yeah. Well, there's just a lot more of a process you have to go through, where this small scale multi-unit stuff is like the BC government is basically forcing this. And so the paperwork and red tape is going to be not less, or probably less, but like, cause you could stratify that property. You could put a road down the middle, maybe do, a whole bunch of houses, but like you'd have to change the zoning and have to get approved. You'd have the city, like there'd be so much red tape that you wouldn't be able to do anything for years on that property, because like you'd have the whole neighborhood just like voting against this kind of thing. And maybe you get it through, but it's just going to cost a whole bunch of money and time.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people they want things now, unfortunately, right? So if you have an initiative like the small scale multi-unit housing and the cities that are changing their bylaws and stuff as we speak, like it's going to be a shorter time window. And we're going to start seeing these properties pop up here in the next year or two, like more and more. They're going to be stratified once they figure that out, and you're going to be able to buy these properties, and it's really going to change the landscape, I think.
Well, inventory is already high right now. Like we're in record high inventory in the Lower Mainland, and so the Lower Mainland for people is Fraser Valley and Greater Vancouver is what I'm using here. Not going out to Chilliwack, but I would assume that Chilliwack is probably in a similar boat. I just know that it's kind of its own little area.
Yeah. Well, they're building like crazy too, and
they're building like crazy
on all the on the East Indian or the Native Reserve lands.
Yeah. And a lot of those First Nations bands in Chilliwack, by the way, awesome. They know their stuff. There are some smart bands out there that are doing some pretty awesome things. That's based off of a prior job that I worked with, and getting the chance to talk to a lot of those band leaders and those members out there. They're doing some good things out over on the east side of the Fraser Valley. Chilliwack is, if you can get over the farming smell that happens a couple months of the year, there's some crazy things going on in Chilliwack full props to them and what they're doing. But you know, it's one of these things where I'm interested to see the changes. I'm interested to see if we see a little bit more of what used to be called the missing middle, which was 1,500, square foot detached houses again. Because you see them in like older houses in Maple Ridge a lot, like 1,400, 1,500 on like 6,000, 7,000 square foot lots that are, some would call that townhouse size, or like a bigger townhouse size almost, but you get your little yard space. And for a long time, builders didn't build them because they wanted the bigger 2,200 or 2,500 square foot home with lots of space and little less yard, but it was this bigger house. And you had this gap between the attached townhouse and your detached home. And there was nothing here. So you'd go like condo, you go townhouse, and you go house. And there's nothing here. And I wonder if we're going to get back to seeing builders go here with the small scale stuff and adding that level in between
the product,
the townhouse and the bigger detached home. And I think we will. That's an opinion. It's an opinion. My opinion. But I think that's where we're going to go. I think we're going to start to see.
We'll definitely see it. It's just, it's not going to be on the 8,000 square foot lot, the 10,000 square foot lot. It's going to be on a postage stamp lot. Like, right, you're going to have the fourplex, or you're going to have the zoning to allow for maybe a couple different buildings on one piece of land. But hey, I don't know. I think there's something to be said about having a property with no shared walls.
Yeah.
Granted, the other wall is like 10, 20 feet maybe that way, and it's all on the same property. But I don't know. I think people are getting accustomed to the tighter spaces. They just want something of their own.
Well, they also still want stuff that feels relatively spacious, and that's where maximizing your floor plan is so important. You can make smaller spaces feel bigger than bigger houses, guys. It is very real. You see big houses with poor layouts, and then you see small houses with great layouts, and people would take the smaller house. And you think that I'm crazy and promoting living in a shoebox. I'm not. I'm talking from experience, from what I've seen. Like, you would be shocked at the way that some builders are able to maximize every square foot to make their places seem way bigger than bigger condos or bigger homes. It fully exists. It is not something that is just fiction or I'm going to live in a box and I'm going to like it. No, guys, there are ways to give off that feeling of I am comfortable in this space. I am not cramped. And that is something that, this episode today, I'll say that my big thing is make sure you check your zoning before you purchase something that you want to maybe innovate in the future or improve.
Mm-hmm.
A little different from like just looking for a multi-gen property, right? If something's already there, there are great options. That Mission property with all that acreage in the back for someone who just wants a house with privacy, awesome, right? That like having all that land in the back for the kids to run around in, being able to support parents, like there's tons of value in that. And I'm not saying that there's not. On a builder's side though, if I go and take a look at the zoning and I go back to my client, right? Let's say I'm the buyer for that property and they want to do a bunch of stuff. It's probably not going to allow a bunch of stuff. No. We would verify that with the city, but it's probably not. It's probably going to be a challenge to do what they want to do there. But that my big thing there is what I want to do. And so, we talked about a good example. I talked about maybe a bad example, about how one of those properties was too narrow, may not be allowed. And you want to spot these early. You don't want to waste months. And I think it's important to not waste months of time. And I think that's why I think the realtors should pay attention. Because you can say just go to a builder or go to a surveyor or go to a planner, right? You can make them do that. or not make them, but you can advise a client to be like, yeah, go talk to them.
Yeah.
Wash my hands. I don't want to deal with it. But like, is it really that hard to help your client spend some time? Call the city, ring. I want to do this. Can I? Yes or no? You might get a different answer from the city depending on who you speak to, but just check for your client.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have them waste months and money figuring it out, right? And I know that Richard won't. I won't. I know other good realtors that won't. I'm going to shout out a few people I like. Clark Berry. I like him.
I don't like him.
Oh, no, that's your problem. I like him. He would do that. Another agent I'll throw a shout out to, Harold Duncan Williams. I know he would call. Right? I know other realtors that would call. Like, just make the phone call. Or know someone who knows what they're talking about who will make the phone call. There are people out there that can help you. And I don't want people wasting months of their time trying to find a multi-gen project, which is different from a multi-gen property in that instance. So I'm talking something that they want to build something. They want to enjoy the project. Because some people like the projects. Like some people like going through it. Maybe they're crazy, but they enjoy it. And they've built themselves up to do it. But just, you don't want to waste months and money. People don't have months and money to just waste. So respect your clients, make some phone calls, check your zoning, make sure you're good to go. And that's going to be it. That's our zoning. It's a lot of mumbo jumbo. Might have been a little boring, but we throw some jabs, little technical issues. Well, that's going to happen in the first couple of live shows. But we're kind of rolling to a close here. So, Richard, final thoughts before we fully wrap up.
Final thoughts. I just talk to someone who knows what they're doing. Like,
doesn't have to be us. Be us, but realistically, right?
No, it doesn't. But I think you can save yourself a lot of time and headache. And there's new opportunities that come, and you want to be aware of them. And so just do a little bit of your own research too, right? Like, I don't know, I won't say any names, but it's like there's realtors out there that like they'll blow a bunch of smoke up your what, just to try and get the listing, or just to try and get you as a client. And so do your own research, right? And your future self will thank you, as I like to often say. And then once you get an idea of what's out there, pick someone who's going to be able to help you. But things are changing rapidly, and so it's just good to stay informed and stay relevant, because you could go down a rabbit hole like you were saying there, Cole, and it could be a waste of time. So,
well, speaking of waste of time, I don't like wasting our viewers' time. You say it's 8 to 9. We're about to hit 9 o'clock. And
where's all those viewers?
Richard's got an important life to live. So I think we should wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for tuning in today to another episode of Multi-Gen Blueprint. Rich and I, we're back next week. We're back at 8 a.m. on a Saturday to drink coffee, chat about what's going on with multi-gen homes and multi-gen living. Share with people if you think that there's something that they're looking into, or if they want a question answered. Happy to answer any questions. I'd love to touch base on a couple other questions that I had from last week, and we'll get this week. So we're going to look to maybe do that in episode 3, look at some more properties. I think I want some more examples. I think that would be a lot of fun. Richard, I know you got some doozies. And we will talk to you guys next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Cole Martin. He's Richard Ensing. This was Multi-Gen Blueprint. This was episode 2. We'll see you guys.
Adios. Go do something today. Stop watching us. Go do something.